I started podcasting about 6.5 years ago. It all started from my little room. There was barely any space between my single bed, my desk, and 2 chairs. Why did I start getting into podcasting? It was because
pretty much every single business, podcasting lends itself incredibly well as the main marketing strategy. We are here to share with you everything that we have learned to be able to build our clients' podcasts to where they are today.
Welcome, legends, to Podcast Marketing Secrets,
where we share all of the tactics and strategies from the #1 podcasting agency
on how to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful, high-converting podcast.
Let's take your business and content to the next level.
Are you ready to do this?
Mate, I've been ready for the last hour. Let's go.
Just to give context, I've been training one of our newest team members who is a junior editor and hopefully soon will be a filmmaker. He's currently producing this episode behind the cameras. So this took a little bit longer than what we expected. But enough chit chat. Welcome to the first episode of Podcast Marketing Secrets, where we're gonna literally tell you all the tips, where we're going to tell you all the tips, tactics, and strategies for you to be able to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful podcast to build your business, your marketing, your personal brand. So with that being said, I have my co-host here today, so I will let her introduce herself.
Already planned all of that out for the intro, but that's okay. We'll repeat. Thanks, Nels. My name's Kal, everybody. I am the operations manager here at Vibez Creative. So Vibez Creative is a video podcasting agency and soon to be Australia's best video podcasting agency by the end of this year. And essentially, as Nelson was saying, we are here to share with you everything that we have learned in our journey to be able to build this business and build our clients' podcasts to where they are today. So, Nels, did you want to introduce yourself and then probably tell us a little bit about how we got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of Vibez Creative. This has been a very long journey. I started podcasting about 6.5 years ago. It all started from my little room. There was barely any space between my single bed, my desk, and basically 2 chairs to be able to produce a podcast. Why did I start getting into podcasting? I was very early in the game. When I started podcasting, it was because I saw that all the big creators were slowly getting into it or dabbling or talking about it. And I remember listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was saying, podcasting is going to be huge. Guys, get onto it. So I took action. I started producing a podcast back then called Vibez. It was in Spanish, and that podcast in itself got to 100 episodes. So it was a bit of a journey, lots of learning. Like I said, back then, I didn't have any of the gear. We barely had one camera. We started the way that all podcasts were done, which was just audio format, right? And these days, this is long gone. This is not the case anymore. We're going to dive into it. But essentially, podcasting is not what it used to be back then. And at some point, I realized, I think we need to add the video format to this. The audio is not being good enough, and we need to get ourselves, in platforms like YouTube back then that I told my co-host. And we started filming. One camera, that's all we had. And we started recording our podcast. And the fast forward, we smashed 100 episodes. At some point, I just had to go on doing the podcast myself. My co-host couldn't keep going. So I had to learn how to have a co-host, but then how to do a podcast on my own, as well as interviewing people. So along the way, I managed to get different skills on it. And at some point, I started my current English podcast, which is the Creative Grid, dedicated to creative entrepreneurs. Cal, I believe you have a podcast as well.
Yep, I have a podcast as well called Physical. We're actually pivoting the strategy on that one at the moment, but basically I speak to people in the fitness industry about all things fitness and including as well fitness-related content. So we are not just a video podcasting agency, we each have our own podcast as well, and those are our chosen vehicle. Vehicle? That's very American.
Chosen vehicle. Yeah.
Podcasting is our chosen vehicle to get our marketing messages out there for our own brands, as well as all the clients that we have here at Vibez Creative. So naturally, you've got a background already in video podcasting yourself, and then you basically turned our video production or your video production business and specifically chose to niche down into podcasting. Tell me a little bit about that and why you made that choice.
Absolutely. So essentially, I was dabbling and doing podcasting on the back end, but I was running a video production business. And it just got to a point where basically people just started asking, hey, dude, can you produce a podcast for me? Hey, can you help me launch a podcast? Like, it came, so many people started asking for it that I was like, okay, it sounds like we need to start doing more of this. And at some point, it just made absolute sense to basically fully specialize in podcasting, which is what we do in today's day. Vibez Creative specializes in podcasting, like I was saying at the beginning. So fast forward to today, we have launched dozens of podcasts, grew them from 0 to thousands of followers.
Tens of thousands
of followers, if you add everything up, as well as producing over 400 podcast episodes, edited over 10,000 viral short form videos, as well as achieving millions of views online, and generated hundreds of thousands of dollars for ourselves and clients using a video podcast content strategy. So it just makes sense that we share all the information, all the strategies, all the tactics, because we have a massive goal. We want to launch in the next 5 years 1,000 podcasts. So how do you feel about that goal?
Concerns me with regards to the workload, but it excites me because we know that video podcasting is the best strategy to get the message for business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, pretty much every single business. Podcasting lends itself incredibly well as the main marketing strategy. So to hear that we're going to be expanding our services and allowing 1,000 businesses to be able to leverage this incredibly powerful marketing strategy is very exciting.
Absolutely. And like she's saying, it is a scary goal. We know we can do this. And although our main focus has been completely done for you services, meaning that, like she was saying, we help entrepreneurs, business owners, businesses, experts, coaches to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful podcast for their businesses and their content creation strategies. It's basically now at a point where we are almost at a full capacity. So we can't really keep taking any more clients for our completely done for you services. And we want to continue to help, continue to be able to basically provide all the knowledge and all the tactics for businesses to be able to do it on their own. So that's why we just recently released our coaching program, which is another way to now partner with us. So essentially, we handhold you into launching, growing, and doing everything you need to be sure that your podcast is going to be successful. And later down this year, we're going to be releasing as well other ways to support you, which includes podcast workshops. That's coming actually pretty soon. We have our first day. We're going to be giving details away pretty soon. And if we have a workshop, you probably can check the links in the description down below, as well as our courses. So there's gonna be a ton of different ways for us to be able to support everyone, regardless of where you are in the world, to be able to have a successful podcast. Now, can you tell people, where are we?
Where are we? So our video podcasting agency is based in Coolangatta on the Gold Coast. It is one of the best places to be. In terms of our studio, we actually just moved into a brand spanking new studio. We are so excited, and we are going to transform this space into one of the most flexible podcasting studios around as well. So it's absolutely going to be just a hub of energy in here and podcasting mastery as we continue to build and expand this entire empire. I have no doubts we're going to be outgrowing this space pretty soon, but that's okay because that just means that we're one step closer to achieving our goal, which is to help all of these business owners. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, the whole point of this podcast is to basically provide as much information as possible. Check the links down below for any free resources and basically getting in touch with us if you would like further support along the journey. Make sure to follow us along every social media platform, subscribe on the YouTube channel, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And what can people expect, Kal, over the next episodes?
Brilliant. So it's not just going to be Nelson and I throughout this podcast. As we mentioned, we are supported by an incredible team, each with their own expertise on a certain aspect of podcasting. So we're going to be bringing on our team members, but also discussing within ourselves. We're going to be talking all about podcast marketing strategy, monetization, the actual systems, processes that we implement exactly so that you can replicate them for your own podcast strategies as well, if that's what you're choosing to do. What else is there? There's heaps.
I think that's pretty much covers everything for this first episode.
Awesome.
So stay tuned. There's going to be weekly episodes and information coming your way. So make sure to not miss out on the podcast marketing secrets.
Woo. See you.
That is a weird way of ending it. Woo.
It felt...
No, it has to end with an epic. Editors, can you make sure that you add an epic cinematic ending right now?
Should we make it cinematic?
No.
Nah. Okay.
Thank you for joining us on Podcast Marketing Secrets. If you found value in this episode, the best way you can support us in continuing to deliver this content to you is by giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Now, if you're keen to connect with us, we are at Vibez Creative on all your other social media platforms. Please send us your questions, engage with us, let us know what you want to hear about next on the podcast, and we'll be sure to create content around that.
And if you're interested in partnering with us for the highest level of support for you to be able to launch, grow, manage, and monetize a successful podcast for your business or your personal brand, we offer different levels of support, starting from our services, one-on-one coaching, as well as our completely done-for-you system. So if you're interested in finding out more, book a call with our team down in the description below.